Listen closely, my friends. There is a version of you nothing can destroy. Not because that version never feels pain. Not because betrayal stops hurting, failure stops disappointing, or loss becomes easy. But because pain no longer gets to choose who that person becomes. Life can change the plan. People can misunderstand the intention. An opportunity can disappear after years of work. A relationship can end without the closure you deserved. The body can become tired. The mind can become afraid. The future can refuse to provide an answer. And still, something inside you remains available. The ability to see clearly, to govern the next response, to protect your character when circumstances become chaotic. Most people believe strength means never bending, but a branch that refuses to bend can snap under pressure. Real strength is different. It adapts without losing direction. It feels without surrendering judgment. It accepts help without waiting to be rescued. It falls without turning one fall into a permanent identity. The Stoics did not promise a life without adversity. They developed a way to meet adversity without giving it complete authority over the mind. Epictetus taught that some things depend on us while others do not. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to return to duty, justice, and clear judgment while surrounded by uncertainty. Seneca practiced simplicity so comfort would lose some of its power to frighten him. Different lives. The same question. When the world refuses your command, what remains yours? In this video, you will learn 10 practical laws inspired by Stoicism for building a mind that is difficult to break. Law 3 will show you why one failure can become more dangerous than the failure itself. Law 7 will teach you why boundaries are part of resilience, not a failure of compassion. And Law 10 will reveal the foundation that remains when status, praise, comfort, and outcomes change. Do not try to master all 10 tonight. Choose 2 or 3. Practice them during ordinary pressure. The mind trained only in peaceful moments is unprepared when peace disappears. You do not become impossible to break by avoiding every storm. You become harder to break by learning what to do when the storm arrives. Law number 1. Own the space between what happens and what you do next. Law 1. Own the space between stimulus and response. There is a moment so small that most people never notice it. Someone insults you, a message disappoints you, a plan fails, the body reacts before the mind has completed a thought. The jaw tightens, the chest becomes tense. An answer appears, usually designed to attack, escape, or prove. The first law is to own the space between stimulus and response. Your first reaction is an alarm, not a final judgment. You are allowed to feel it. You are not required to obey it. Create a physical pause. Exhale slowly. Relax one visible point of tension. Feel both feet on the ground. Wait 3 seconds before speaking. In digital communication, wait longer. Write the first response in a separate note. Remove sarcasm. Remove speculation about motives. Remove every sentence written only to wound. Then choose from 4 responses. Clarify. What exactly do you mean? Correct. That description is not consistent with the facts. Set a boundary. I will discuss the issue, but not through personal attacks. Disengage. This conversation is no longer productive. I am ending it. The pause does not guarantee calm. Your voice may still shake. Anger may remain. The victory is that behavior moved closer to purpose than impulse. Practice during small frustrations. Traffic, a slow device, an interruption, a critical comment. Each small pause builds access to a better choice under larger pressure. The person who controls the pause becomes difficult to manipulate. Insult no longer guarantees rage. Silence no longer guarantees pursuit. Pressure no longer guarantees surrender. You may not control what enters the moment. Protect what leaves it through you. LOE 2. Accept reality before trying to change it. You cannot work with a reality you refuse to recognize. The relationship ended, the decision was made. The opportunity closed. The person revealed a pattern you hoped was temporary. The second law is to accept reality before trying to change what remains changeable. Acceptance does not mean approval. It does not mean injustice is acceptable or harmful behavior should be tolerated. It means ending the argument with the fact that has already arrived. Say, I do not approve of this. I accept that it is now part of reality. Then ask, what remains mine to do? If the job is lost, update documents, contact people, review finances, seek support, and create the next option. If trust is broken, communicate once, observe accountability, and adjust access according to evidence. If a mistake is yours, apologize, repair, accept consequences, and change the system. Denial delays action. Panic expands the event. Acceptance gives the problem an accurate size. Use 2 columns, the fact. The demand. Fact. They have not replied. Demand. They must reply before I can feel secure. Fact. The project failed. Demand. My effort must always produce success. Fact. They misunderstood me. Demand. Everyone must see me correctly. The demand often creates suffering beyond the fact. Release what cannot be ordered. Act on what remains available. The resilient mind does not like every reality. It refuses to waste tomorrow demanding that yesterday change. LOE 3. Never turn one failure into your identity. Failure describes an outcome. The mind turns it into a person. I failed becomes I am a failure. One rejected application becomes proof that you have no future. One broken relationship becomes proof that you are impossible to love. One undisciplined week becomes proof that discipline is not part of your nature. The third law is to never turn one failure into your identity. Replace labels with behavior. Do not say, I am lazy. Say, I avoided the task for 40 minutes by checking my phone. Do not say, I always quit. Say, I stopped after the 3rd attempt. Specific behavior creates a place to intervene. A total identity creates only shame. Use the failure review. What was the goal? What happened? What part was within my responsibility? What was external? What will change in the next attempt? What remains worth pursuing? Do not assume persistence is always wise. Sometimes failure reveals that the method, timing, or goal should change. Resilience is not blind repetition. It is loyalty to reason and values, not one route. Create new evidence quickly when possible. Open the document again. Send the next application. Return to training. Schedule the conversation. Repair the error. Do not rush serious grief only to preserve a productivity streak. Different failures require different timing. But once action becomes possible, move before shame turns the event into a permanent story. One failure is part of your history. It does not automatically become your name. Law 4. Prepare for adversity without living in fear. There are 2 ways to imagine difficulty. One prepares you. The other exhausts you. The 4th law is to prepare for adversity without living inside the rehearsal. The Stoics anticipated possible setbacks so surprise would not completely control judgment. Preparation ends with an action. Worry repeats the threat. Choose one important plan. Ask, what is the most likely obstacle? What can I prepare? What will I do if it happens? Create if-then plans. If the technology fails, I will use the printed outline. If the conversation becomes insulting, I will state the boundary and leave if it continues. If the application is rejected, I will review feedback and submit another within 1 week. If anxiety rises, I will feel my feet, exhale slowly, and answer only the question in front of me. Set a time limit for preparation. 5 or 10 minutes may be enough. After that, return to the present duty. If you keep imagining new disasters without creating new actions, preparation has become worry. Build practical resilience too. Savings where possible, updated documents, relevant contacts, useful skills, honest relationships, medical or professional support where needed. A resilient mindset does not replace resources, it uses them wisely. You cannot predict every storm. You can practice a method, see the facts, identify control, protect what matters, ask for help, take the next action, adapt, prepare reasonably, then return to life. Law 5. Practice manageable discomfort. Comfort is useful for recovery. It becomes dangerous when it is required before action. I will begin when I feel motivated. I will speak honestly when nobody will be disappointed. I will work when conditions improve. The 5th law is to practice manageable discomfort before life chooses discomfort for you. Seneca sometimes practiced temporary simplicity, so difficult conditions would lose some of their power to frighten him. The purpose was not punishment. It was flexibility. Choose one safe discomfort. Walk without headphones. Sit for 10 minutes without stimulation. Begin important work before entertainment. Eat a simple meal. Delay a harmless urge. Publish before the work feels perfect. Ask a question that may reveal what you do not know. Say no without creating 5 excuses. During the practice, observe the mind. I need relief now. I cannot tolerate this. Something is wrong because this feels unpleasant. Replace exaggeration with accuracy. This is uncomfortable, temporary, and manageable. Do not make the practice reckless. Injury, dangerous exposure, sleep deprivation, and ignoring health needs are not Stoic virtue. Wisdom and temperance govern courage. The most useful discomfort may be emotional. Let someone disagree. Admit a mistake. Ask for help. Enter a room where you are a beginner. Set a boundary and tolerate disappointment. Each repetition creates proof. Discomfort can be present without becoming command. Train quietly. The goal is not to look hard. It is to become less controlled by the demand that everything feel easy. Law 6. Protect your attention during chaos creates 2 problems: the event itself and the noise surrounding it. Messages, opinions, rumors, catastrophic predictions, repeated checking. The 6th law is to protect your attention during chaos. Use 3 categories: act now, schedule, release. Act now includes immediate safety, health, deadlines, and essential communication. Schedule includes important actions that need time but not panic. Release includes information you cannot use, arguments with the past, and opinions unrelated to the decision. Write the categories. Do not carry them only inside a crowded mind. Limit input. Choose reliable sources. Set specific times for updates. Stop refreshing the same problem every 5 minutes. More information does not always create more control. Protect basic routines where possible. Sleep, food, movement, quiet. A neglected body makes judgment harder. Choose one task at a time. During crisis, multitasking feels responsible because many things matter. Constant switching can weaken every response. Complete or advance the next essential action. Then reassess. This is not denial, it is triage. When the world becomes loud, do not match its volume. Identify what deserves your next clear action. Law 7. Build boundaries before resentment builds them for you. Many people tolerate small violations until resentment becomes unbearable. Then the boundary arrives as an explosion. The 7th law is to build boundaries before anger has to build them for you. A request says what you want another person to do. A boundary says what you will do if the behavior continues. Please stop shouting is a request. If the shouting continues, I will end the conversation and return when we can speak calmly is a boundary. Use 3 parts. Name the behavior, state the standard, name the consequence you control. When private information is shared, I stop discussing personal matters. If it happens again, our conversations will remain practical. I will discuss the work. If personal insults continue, I will end the meeting and document the issue. A boundary must be proportionate and enforceable. Do not threaten what you will not do. Do not use a boundary to punish disagreement, then follow through. Over-explaining cannot replace enforcement. Expect resistance. Someone who benefited from your lack of limits may call your boundary selfish. Listen once. Check whether it is fair. Correct it if necessary. Then remain consistent. If danger, abuse, threats, stalking, or severe harassment exist, prioritize safety, distance, support, documentation, or authorities as appropriate. Stoicism is not passive tolerance of harm. Boundaries do not make you unbreakable by keeping everyone away. They make your relationships clearer by deciding what access requires. Law 8. Stop giving other people authority over your worth. Praise feels powerful because it temporarily quiets uncertainty. Someone chooses you, recognizes the work, calls you talented, then attention changes and confidence disappears. The 8th law is to stop giving other people authority over your worth. This does not mean feedback and connection do not matter. Healthy relationships support growth. Qualified criticism improves skill. The problem begins when approval becomes the only evidence that you matter. Then praise becomes a substance requiring another dose. You say yes when you mean no. You hide opinions. You remain available without limits. Build self-respect from private conduct. Did you keep your word? Did you act honestly when lying would protect your image? Did you complete the work without recognition? Did you apologize? Did you maintain a responsible boundary when someone disapproved? Create a private scorecard. Wisdom. Did I see clearly? Courage. Did I act despite discomfort? Justice. Did I respect others and fulfill responsibilities? Self-control. Did I govern impulse? Remain teachable. If several trustworthy people identify the same harmful behavior, examine it. Your opinion is not automatically correct because it is yours. But no single opinion has complete authority over your identity. Let praise encourage you. Do not let it create you. Let criticism teach you. Do not let it erase you. Lelio 9. Keep private promises. You do not trust yourself because of what you say during motivated moments. You trust yourself because of what you repeatedly do after motivation fades. The 9th law is to keep private promises. Choose one promise with 4 qualities: specific, realistic, meaningful, visible when complete. Bad promise, become disciplined. Better promise, work on the proposal from 7 to 7:30 with the phone outside the room. Bad promise, change my life. Better promise, send 1 application before noon. Track yes or no. If you keep it, collect the evidence. If you break it, do not create a dramatic story. Ask why. Was it unrealistic? Was the environment poorly designed? Did you simply choose comfort? Correct the next attempt. Use progressive proof. 10 minutes becomes 20. 3 days becomes 7. 1 boundary becomes a standard. When interrupted, return quickly. 1 missed day is an event. A week of avoidance becomes a pattern. Do not let shame create the second miss. Private promises build quiet confidence. Not confidence that you will never fail. Confidence that your words increasingly predict your behavior. The world sees the result. You live the repetitions that made the result possible. Law 10. Anchor yourself in character, not circumstances. Everything external changes. Money, reputation, health, relationships, power, opportunity. If identity rests entirely on unstable conditions, every change becomes a threat to the self. The 10th law is to anchor yourself in character, not circumstances. The Stoics placed virtue at the center: wisdom, courage, justice, temperance. These qualities can still be practiced under many different conditions. You may lose the preferred outcome and still respond honestly. You may be misunderstood and still remain just. You may feel afraid and still act courageously. You may receive success and still govern excess. This does not make external goods meaningless. Prefer health, security, love, opportunity, and success. Protect them wisely. But do not ask them to provide permanent identity. At night, ask, what did I become through today's actions? Not only, what did I get? A good result with dishonest conduct should concern you. A painful result after excellent conduct should teach you without destroying you. This is the foundation that remains when life changes form. Not status, not applause, not comfort. Character. You become difficult to break when circumstances can change without forcing you to abandon every principle you chose in peace. How the 10 laws work in real life philosophy becomes useful when it survives an ordinary difficult day. Imagine you receive a message that sounds disrespectful. Law 1 asks for the pause. Law 2 asks what is fact and what is interpretation. Law 7 asks whether a boundary is required. Law 8 reminds you that another person's tone does not define your worth. The response may be simple: what exactly do you mean by that? Or, I will discuss the issue without personal attacks. You do not need the perfect comeback. You need a response your future self will not have to repair. Imagine an important project fails. Law 3 prevents the outcome from becoming identity. Law 4 asks what obstacle was missed. Law 9 asks whether you will keep the next private promise. Review the method. What was within your control? What changed outside it? What will the next attempt do differently? Then create evidence quickly where reasonable. Open the document. Send the next proposal. Schedule the review. Imagine a relationship ends without closure. Law 2 accepts the fact without approving the pain. Law 8 prevents rejection from becoming a verdict on worth. Law 10 asks what character looks like now. You may ask for an honest conversation once. But if the person refuses communication, your life cannot remain permanently paused at a door they closed. Create a closing statement. I may never receive the explanation I wanted. I understand the behavior well enough to choose my boundary. Imagine your life becomes chaotic at work. Law 6 protects attention. Act now, schedule, release. Do not answer every message at once. Identify the action with the greatest consequence. Communicate clearly. Complete or advance one task. Then reassess. Imagine you wake without motivation. Law 5 teaches that discomfort is not command. Law 9 returns you to the private promise. You do not need to conquer the entire day. Perform the minimum standard. 15 focused minutes can protect the identity that 0 minutes would weaken. Imagine someone repeatedly crosses a boundary. Law 7 asks for action rather than another explanation. When you shout, I end the conversation. We can continue when we can speak calmly. If the shouting continues, leave. A boundary explained 10 times and enforced 0 times is only a wish. Imagine success finally arrives. This is also a test. Law 8 prevents praise from becoming emotional dependence. Law 10 prevents status from replacing character. Enjoy the result. Thank the people who helped. Continue the practices that produced it. Do not let success convince you that self-control is no longer necessary. Imagine you face a serious situation involving safety, abuse, health, or legal risk. Being impossible to break does not mean handling it alone. It may mean leaving, contacting trusted people, seeking medical or professional assistance, documenting events, or using appropriate authorities. Help is not weakness. Wise use of available support is part of resilience. Across every example, the sequence remains the same. Pause. Name reality. Separate identity from outcome. Identify control. Protect attention. Choose the boundary or action. Return to character. You do not need all 10 laws in every moment. You need the right law to become available before the old reaction takes command. Practical response library. When anger rises, this feeling is real, but it is not an instruction. When the plan fails, the route changed. The purpose still deserves a wise response. When criticism arrives, what is specific, true, and useful here? When someone pressures you, I do not make this decision under pressure. I will respond tomorrow. When approval disappears, praise may encourage me. It does not create my worth. When the past returns, the lesson remains. The event is over. When discomfort appears, this is unpleasant, temporary, and manageable. When you miss a habit, the next repetition matters more than the broken streak. When uncertainty grows, I will prepare what belongs to me and release what does not. When you need help, strength includes using the right support. Choose 3 lines that match your strongest patterns. Practice them aloud. The goal is not to sound dramatic. It is to make a wiser response easier to retrieve under pressure. Practical 7-day Unbreakable Mind Challenge. For 7 days, choose 3 practices. 1 pause, 1 boundary, 1 private promise. Each morning, identify 1 likely trigger. Write the response you want to practice. During the day, use the 3-second pause. At night, record, what happened? What did I feel? What did I choose? What will I change tomorrow? Day 1, separate 1 fact from the story around it. Day 2, accept 1 reality you keep arguing with. Day 3, create new evidence after a small failure. Day 4, prepare an if-then response. Day 5, practice 1 safe discomfort. Day 6, protect 1 focused block. Day 7, review the character scorecard. Do not ask whether nothing affected you. Ask whether fewer things controlled what you did next. That is evidence of strength. Conclusions. Bend, adapt, return. Possible to break does not mean impossible to hurt. You are human. You will feel loss. You will become tired. Some events will require time, support, and repair. Strength is not pretending the wound does not exist. It is refusing to let the wound become the only author of the future. Remember the 10 laws. Own the pause. Accept reality. Separate failure from identity. Prepare without living in fear. Practice manageable discomfort. Protect attention during chaos. Build boundaries before resentment. Stop outsourcing worth. Keep private promises. Anchor identity in character. There is a version of you nothing can destroy. That version is not waiting somewhere in the future. It is being built through the response you choose today. 1 pause, 1 honest action, 1 boundary kept, 1 return after failure. If you are accepting the 7-day challenge, write this in the comments. I bend, I adapt, I return. Subscribe for more practical Stoic lessons about resilience, discipline, emotional control, and self-respect. Do not ask life to remove every storm. Build roots the storm cannot easily reach.